Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Billig, and today I'm so happy and thrilled to have with me on the project of love the one and only, the wonderful, the magic Michelle Lee. Hello, Michelle. So thrilled to have you here.
It is my honor and my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, I couldn't help it. I mean, our meeting at the Awakened Women Convergence in Scottsdale like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I don't know.
Yeah, about a week and a half ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like really, really magic, and your presentation was so powerful, and it was a life changer.
Aw, wow, that means so much to me. Thank you.
So Michelle Lee, she's been working with women for what, 15 years
Yes.
already? Yeah, as a coach to help them, to empower themselves, to empower them, and help them bring their vision to life. And she's also the author of this wonderful book. I hope you can see it. I've read it. It spoke so much to me.
Mm,
So I think that's a book that women really need it, and that every woman should read.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that's your. Let's talk a little bit about this. So that's your first book.
It is my first book. Yes. Yes. And I will write two more.
Mm-hmm.
This book is like the first in a trilogy. It talks about, how we're brainwashed as women
Mm-hmm.
uh, to feel disempowered and to be disempowered, and the history of that disempowerment, and how those pervasive messages are just everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's really about how we can come together as women
Mm-hmm.
and mothers and daughters. And so the second book will really be about embodying our divinity, our greatness, what that looks like. And then the third will be a book about the thriving of it, right? Right now we're discovering, all of these stories we've been told and disengaging from them. And then it's about making a decision to live differently. And then the third is about thriving in that, being free of that past of disempowerment.
And more women, more and more, and people in general, even men, they are looking to connect with their whole purpose. So how did you do it? What were the steps that you took to
The
get
steps that I took to get to my soul's purpose,
there?
wow. I tell you, it felt like every experience in my life was leading me to that purpose. So as I look back, I could see that the experiences I had around motherhood, around pregnancy, around marriage and divorce, all those experiences were really bringing me to my work. And I remember being in my mid 20s, and I was going through my third divorce at a time. I had two young children. And what I recognized for the third time was that at the end of this marriage, which my marriages could not survive, I was the only one committed to making the marriage work. And eventually it had to end for my sanity and happiness and for the well being of my children. And what I recognized was that with each divorce, I was the disempowered one, right? My income level dropped, my standard of living dropped, my children's did too, right?
Mhm.
So it felt very in un, it felt unfair for the woman and the children,
Yes.
right? And I still see this in that it's still expected for from a lot of fathers that, okay, now you're a single mom, now you go out and get a job, and you're the one who has the kids 5 days a week, except maybe sometimes every other weekend.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if there's a sick kid or homework or, you know, all of that is placed on the mom.
Yeah.
And now she's expected to be the breadwinner as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just saw all of this injustice and devaluing the family. Like, nobody was there for her and for her children. Nobody was there for me and my children. We suffered because I didn't want to be in a marriage, or the marriage wasn't healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I see that with women all the time, feeling trapped.
Yes.
So in that moment, you know, I shared with my mom, I said, I know I am an advocate for women.
Mm-hmm.
I am here to shift women's lives. I just didn't know what that looked like yet. And I didn't, at that time, what I had recently learned was hypnobirthing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had difficult childbirths, I had postpartum depression, and it felt in my heart, I mean, my soul was like, this is not right.
Mm-hmm.
This is not meant to be the woman's experience in bringing new souls to the planet, right? It should be a celebration. New moms should be energized and happy, not feeling isolated, alone, lonely, and depressed and scared. You know, that really wasn't meant for us. And I just started looking like there's got to be a way to change this experience for women. And I actually became a doula, and I went and also was trained in hypnobirthing.
Mm-hmm.
And so with those two aspects together, I started working with women around labor and childbirth, and teaching them hypnosis to relax and trust their bodies, right? Because pain in childbirth comes from not trusting the process. It comes from fear, you know, and that comes from our history.
Mm-hmm.
So I did all that. So my point in saying all that, how did I get to my soul's purpose? It's been a step-by-step process, right? At first being pulled to help women have a new experience around childbirth, and then having a new experience around self-love, how we, you know, allowing ourselves to receive, allowing ourselves to express who we are through our own talents and desires. You know, so it's just kind of been step by step, and it's evolved. So now I'm, you know, about awakening women to their power as not just mothers. I mean, our power to create, our power to envision a planet that is supportive of our children, of ourselves, a planet that is love based, right?
Right.
And I know a lot of women have that vision, and we're told that we're stupid, we're dreamers, we're idealistic, we're get real, right? And so my goal is to really help women to identify their vision for their planet, their vision for their family, the vision for themselves, and stop looking for permission from those around us that don't get our vision, because they don't have to get our vision in order for us to live it.
Yeah. So I think that to live our life purpose, we need to kind of let go, get rid of the programming that's been happening in our life since our childhood. But more than that, it's been in the society for so many years. And you talk about it so beautifully in your book. I mean, the way women were portrayed, it's not about just the media, but also, you know, like the holy books, the Bible, and
Yeah, religion, you know, media, movies, passed down from generation to generation. In fact, I was just having a conversation with a colleague of mine. She started a television, a show, a talk show, just like us on Zoom. And we were talking about how we have to say yes to ourselves, right? And that's what I did over and over to follow my soul's path, is when I had the thought, there must be a better way to give birth, I started looking for something. When I found hypnobirthing, I said yes to myself, and I traveled, right? I traveled 2 states away to get the training. So I said yes to myself. I didn't use the fact that I had, you know, two children at home that I was taking care of. I found a way to do it. I said yes to me. And that's what I find that women struggle with the most, is saying yes to themselves. Oh, I can't do that because the kids are here. It'll be hard on my husband, or, you know, it'll cost money.
Yeah.
And that is simply a lack of self-worth. You're
Yeah.
saying you're not worthy of that. You know, my kids survived, my
Mhm.
family survived, everybody did just fine while mom was gone for 4 days.
So how did you gather your strength, your courage, your determination to pursue your path and like overcome these, let's say, mind games, or the other people's um, opinions.
Well, you know, it was hard because my views were very different than the views of the people around me,
Yeah.
even family, you
Mhm.
know, even my own husband, right? So my views were very different. And so I did feel very alone, like nobody gets me, right?
Right.
And so I've for as long as I can remember, I have had a morning routine, right? I get up early in the morning. I get up before my kids get up. I mean, my youngest now is 15 and he knows that I have my morning routine. He's never known me not to have a morning routine. Right? So, and in the morning what I do is I'm training my mind. You know, I still do this. What's my vision? What's my next vision? Oh my gosh, I'm living my vision that I had when I was 25 or 26, when I said, I know I'm here to shift women. I had no idea what that would look like, but now I'm living it. And my vision gets bigger and bigger. And so I spend time every morning envisioning that, visualizing that, shifting my mindset. You know, we all have fears that come up when we want to stretch ourselves and be bigger. We all have fears. This isn't about fearless living, it's about courageous living. It's
Mhm.
about acknowledging the fear and going for it anyway, right? I mean, one of the scariest things I did was put that book out,
Yeah.
right? Because it was like my heart. I mean, this is who I am. This is how I see the world, you know? And it was like, people are going to judge me. There are people who are going to hate this book. I know that, you know? But when I held that book in my hand, I was changed. It really was like giving birth. I was a new person. And so it is just constant work of loving myself, which means really honoring who I am. You know, doing that work in the morning, changing my mindset, visualizing what I want, and acknowledging my fears and doing it anyway. Doing it anyway.
What would you say to a woman who thinks that I don't have any particular gifts or talent, or you are special and I'm not special, and I'm not someone who could like meant to do something like really big in this world.
I would say, that's not true. You know, I get so passionate. That's not true. You know, every person on this planet has her gift, her story, her blessing to the planet. It's just a matter of cultivating it, excavating it from beneath the fears. You know, thoughts like that come from programming and past experiences. And what I found in working with women for a decade and a half is that women who think they don't have anything to offer, or they say they don't know what their soul's path and purpose is really what is true is that they've been disappointed so many times before that they've stopped allowing themselves to be aware of what they want. So they've shut down so much that it's just a little bit of work to reawaken them, to allow them to, yes, you can want what you want, right? I remember a few years ago working with a client, and she was a grandmother, and she was talking about having a Saturday and all these things she had to do. I mean, she was doing stuff for her adult daughter, for her grandchildren, and doing this, and she just, her whole day was full. And I said, well, what if you said no? And she's like,
Oh no.
because I said, what would you like to do on a Saturday? And she was shocked, because I never thought of that. I never thought that I could possibly say no. And it's that brainwashing that women lose themselves, right? Like, my purpose is to serve everybody else, and I am meant to be selfless. And I would like to take that word selfless and strike it out of every language around the world, because it doesn't even make any sense, right? I am a self. I cannot be selfless. And I hear, women getting awards. I go speak at women's conferences and they get awards. And these women who are getting awards, they're being honored for being selfless. No, no, we can do so much more by honoring ourselves. Our contribution is so much more meaningful and impactful and potent. I mean, our impact becomes potent when it's a full expression of who we came here to be. And you can't be potent and be selfless at the same time.
Many women, they are afraid, of course they are afraid to say no, and they don't want to be labeled as selfish. So
Selfish.
we're not talking about selfishness here. We are talking about honoring yourself the same way you're honoring your who you are, your needs, your desires, the same way you honor your dear ones' needs and desires. Because
Yes.
you cannot pour from an empty vessel.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be the other word I would want to strike from our vocabulary, is selfish. And we look at men, and my husband was the same way. I would be home with the kids all week, all day. He would be at work. Then he'd go spend all day on the golf course, away from family, away from. Now, nobody called him selfish, right? No, I mean, never have I heard a man be referred to as selfish. So I think that's a pretty interesting double standard, that if we seek to take care of ourselves, it's considered selfish, when it's absolutely the complete opposite, a complete opposite, because it's actually selfish not to take care of ourselves, because like you said, we have nothing to give. If we don't fill our well, we are working from an empty well.
Right.
And we can't do that. Everybody suffers. We suffer. And it's that feeling of not being enough. And I was sharing this morning that not enoughness needs to be looked at as if it were cancer. You wouldn't say, I can't deal with cancer right now, I don't have time. Your world would stop, right? So you could survive. And the sense of not being enough, which is what makes us think we need to be selfless, because we need to live up to everybody's expectations, is as poisonous. And I mean, it's a terminal disease. It eventually can turn into cancer and other diseases, depression, anxiety, and then that affects every relationship you're in, everyone.
Self-love has a big part here, and as I said before we started our conversation today, the relationship between the mother and daughter and also our relationship with other women. They are so important because I think maybe one reason why sometimes women they tend to be instead of having a sisterhood they go one against each other. It's maybe because we don't really accept the woman within us, and that goes to our relationship with our mother when we are kids. So I've been there, and I'm working on it now. So I know that other women are struggling with the same issues, and you also write about them in your book. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that.
I'm a woman's advocate. I love women. I want to support them. I want them to love themselves and love each other. And I really, it really just makes my skin crawl when I hear women say, I prefer men over women. I don't like women. Women are catty and they compete with each other. And in that statement, that woman is being catty and competitive, right?
And
And
that's
so
what that's what she attracts in her reality. Because if that's the way she sees the world, that's what she's going to get.
exactly, exactly. And so I actually made a video about this a few years ago about why women compete with each other. Well, it's the brainwashing, the way our culture has been set up for years that we literally, our safety, our life depended on having a husband, right?
Mhm.
If we were not owned by a husband, then we were open to be abused and raped and anything else. We had no protection. So we had to have a man, right? And and historically there have been more women on the planet than there have been men. So we actually had to compete with each other for our life, right? Unfortunately, that's been ingrained in our minds, generation after generation after generation. We're actually born, science is showing that we're born with the emotions of our foremothers
Mhm.
and our forefathers. And so we go into this thinking we have to compete with other girls as little girls, we have to compete with other women. And it's not true anymore. And it's a great way to disempower women, right? If we can't even depend on each other, then
Mhm.
we're wholly disempowered. And we see women judging each other all the time. And then what happens is even with the mother-daughter relationship, right?
Yeah.
Our daughters, they want to be their full expression of who they are, right? And as mothers, that scares the crap out of us because it's dangerous out there, right? We want them to fit in, we want them to be safe. And so we instinctively squash that spirit in our children, not because we don't love them, but because we're afraid for them. So and then that creates a competition even between mother and daughter,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I talked about in my book, is that if we make mothers and daughters, all women, aware that these stories that we've been told, right? If these stories that we've been told that you're either a good girl or a slut, that you have to be nice and not rock the boat. If mothers and daughters both know that that's all a lie, and those lies are our enemy,
Mhm.
right? That's our enemy. That brings mothers and daughters together.
Mhm.
We bond together and lift each other up. And it brings women together too, right? That instead of me seeing you as the enemy, instead I see it doesn't have to be an enemy, but the opposition is the stories, the culture. And so that psychologically, when you have two people at odds, if you bring a third one in, the first two will bond.
Yeah.
And so making mothers and daughters aware of the cultural lies, the brainwashing, can bring them together. And my book explains how you can begin to working together and supporting each other to extricate yourself from the messaging and see it for what it is. I mean, I see the sexism and the injustices to the feminine everywhere, right? And I used to share that with my daughter, and you met my daughter.
Yeah.
I used to share that with her, and she wouldn't get it. She's like, Mom, you're just too sensitive. But over time, as she got older and she began to grow and see things, and she matured a little bit, she's like, holy cow, I see it now. She goes, I can't even watch the things I used to watch, right? She goes, I see it with whole new eyes. And that's what I want to awaken women to. You know, we're not the enemy of each other. You know, it's all this propaganda. It's all the propaganda.
But when I was a kid, my father, he told me, women, they don't bond the same way that men do. So you don't have the same connection to each other. You lie and you do all this stuff. So that's my father telling me when I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Right.
That's kind of programming. Yeah.
Oh, it is programming, and it was his programming, right?
But I didn't know. So I just, I took it as a fact. And then for many years, although I craved like being having like a great friendship with my friends in school and then high school. And I couldn't, somehow I couldn't, I wasn't able to forge those friendships. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Because you at a very young age, you learned that you couldn't have that kind of relationship, that it was impossible. And it's just, that's another one of my pet peeves is male coaches, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and men speaking into, I think it's called mansplaining now, right? Speaking into what it means to be a woman and what women are capable of, and that kind of thing, right? I mean, I coach women, and I coach women in business and loving themselves. And my frame of reference, and this, I was at an event this past Saturday where there was a handful of women in the audience and men coaches, men leaders, and a woman got up there and asked a question. And, I could just see that he couldn't really speak into her experience, because being a woman business owner and being a man business owner, even though it's the same business, she goes home and she's got kids to take care of, right? She probably has a meal to prepare and homework to help her kids with. And, I don't know the truth of all of it. And I know there's a lot of guys who are doing a lot more around the house. But I know a lot of women who are the breadwinners, and they're taking care of the kids, and they're doing the grocery shopping and the laundry, right? And so there's a whole different perspective that a woman can bring to a woman, because we've been trained to, value our relationships with people, which isn't bad, but the fear of being judged by people can really affect us in business in a way that men aren't affected. That was my point.
About going back to the daughter and mother relationship, I think that it is like kind of mandatory if you want to reach the self-love level in your life to kind of heal that relationship. And with me, with my mother, when I was a kid, she wasn't really the affectionate type. I know that she loves me. She provided for me, but she wouldn't hug me. She wouldn't tell me she loved me. She never told me I was smart or beautiful. So this this actually influenced the way I, my my life and the way my sense of self-esteem and self-worth. But I realized that's the best she can do. And I had a conversation with her this summer, and she said, my mother, she behaved the same way, and I I didn't know what to do. That's the best I could do at that time.
I think that's really beautiful that you were able to have that conversation with your mother. And it gives you a frame of reference, because we do mother the best we can, right? And we do tend to recreate the same experiences
Yeah.
that we had with our mother.
Yes.
And so the fact that you could have that conversation with her and that she could acknowledge and you could hear that she did the best she can. And then the work continues, right? I mean, getting that acknowledgement, and hopefully your relationship with your mom is better now in that you feel supported by her and that you are supported by her. The next step is really mothering ourselves, because it is the mother wound that affects us as women, right?
Mm-hmm.
We love ourselves as much as our mother did.
Yeah.
Really, right? And we can only love our children because it keeps going, right? And I've seen the effects on my children before I loved myself and after I loved myself, right? So the effects keep going. But our work, and this is why I say the most important work women can do, especially mothers, is your own self-development and healing work. And it's really, we coming to Earth and having this physical experience is kind of like a big joke, right? Because everything we learn as children is wrong.
Right.
Our love and acceptance comes from other people.
Yes.
And so that's what we learn about ourselves. Oh my gosh, my mom didn't love me. That means I'm unlovable.
Mm-hmm.
And so our work becomes going, oh, I am the source of my love.
Yeah.
And that never changed. I am divine. I am divine. And then once we get older and we can stop blaming our parents, blaming our mothers, and go, okay, she did the best she could because of what she had and because of what her grandmother and her great grandmother had. But then you can stop the cycle by loving yourself, by being that source. And a part of being that source, being your own mother, mothering yourself, nurturing yourself, is negating the voice in your head, right? I mean, my greatest growth came from, I had to separate myself from my mother for a long time. And her voice was in my head. What would she think? I had to do a lot of things that my mom didn't approve of to be who I am today. Right?
Right.
So it's really about forgiving that, letting go of that voice in your head, letting go of the idea that you need your parents' approval, your mother's approval. Give her the love and approval she never got. I mean, that's the real healing process, right?
Right.
Instead of like trying to pull to get her to love you the way you want to be loved,
right.
Love her the way she didn't get loved. And that's where the real freedom is, right? Because you're no longer dependent on somebody else to give you what you think you need. You become your own source, and then you can be her source too, right? And nobody has to change.
Right.
Only it's just your healing.
That's beautiful. I love it. Such a powerful way to say it. Mother ourselves, mother yourself. Great idea. And give to your mom the love she never had. That's beautiful. Thank you, Michelle. And I like to talk a little bit about Sophia too, because I think that Sophia can help in this process a lot. And you talked about Sophia at the convergence.
Yes, yes. The Sophia is the feminine Christ consciousness, right? That's something we've been robbed in our culture, is a feminine divine being. It's always father, father, and it's always the male energy. Well, where does that leave us? It leaves us motherless. And there's the macrocosm of it, right? That we're spiritually motherless from our religions, and then we have the mother wound because our mothers weren't mothered, because we have no
Yeah.
we have no frame of reference for it. So the Sophia is the feminine Christ consciousness. It is our deity, the divine feminine, and identifying with who I am as whole and complete and divine. The stories that we've been told is that we're either a virgin or a whore.
Mm-hmm.
There's no space in there for who we are as a divine being. And that's what the Sophia is. And so that's what I call, we are being awakened to the Sophia.
Mm-hmm.
And, our planet, all that's going on our planet right now, from the environment to politics to our relationships between races, all of that is because we've lost our mother. We've lost the unconditional love that only a mother can give. And that's what the Sophia is, right? It's that those warm, loving arms
Mm-hmm.
of the unconditional loving mother who loves women, and I think our male God, there's the divine masculine and the divine feminine. I'm not dissing the divine feminine. You don't have to, dissing the divine masculine. You don't have to diss anybody to include everybody. But to really tap into the Sophia, the mother, she is represented by the beautiful blooming rose, right? Infinite that infinite creation spiral. And we see that spiral everywhere. It's in the rose, it's in the seashells, it's everywhere in nature. It's sacred geometry, right? And that's what, even our universe, our galaxy is a spiral. And that is who we are. And so that really, it spoke to me to go, oh, there is divinity in being female.
Thank you so much for sharing your light and wisdom. We have to talk to do another one because there are so many things you can like insights you can share with people. Also about manifesting your true heart desire, and yes, you can, and how you can do it. Michelle can tell you all about it.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, don't forget to read this book.
You can get my book on my website at athenarisingnow.com. And it's right there, and we'll be shipping it out when you order it. So it is, I love that you said it's a great gift. It's a great bonding gift for you and your mother, for you and your daughter, a great thing to read together and discuss, open up some discussion around it.
Yeah, that would definitely work. And also don't forget to follow Michelle on her page. She does all these great Facebook lives. She does also like webinars, so lots of information. And of course, you can work with her if you feel called to it. She's in Arizona, but I'm sure that with technology, she can help you wherever you are in the world right now.
That's right. I work with women around the world.
Okay.
Yay, technology. Yeah. You can find me on Facebook, Michelle Lee CH. Michelle Lee is a popular name, so I put the CH for the certified hypnotherapist. So Michelle Lee CH. Thank you, AG.